Does Social Security need saving? Providing for retirees throughout the 21st century by Dimitri Papadimitriou and L. Randall Wray. Different measures of the financial gap. OASDI as percent of GDP. The crisis atmosphere surrounding the debate about Social Security financing apparently is not well founded. Leaving aside reasonable questions about the assumptions used in the forecasts, rather than looking just at program revenues and costs, we can obtain a different measure of the relative size of the financial gap by comparing projected OASDI income outgo and balance with GDP projections. Figure 2 shows that, on intermediate assumptions, OASDI income, excluding interest, is currently just above 5% of GDP. Outgo is just above 4.5% of GDP, and the balance is 0.79% of GDP. In 2014, income excluding interest will just cover outgo. By 2030, outgo will exceed income by about 1.8% of GDP. By 2060, the shortfall will reach slightly more than 2% of GDP and slowly increase for the remainder of the 75-year period. The looming financial crisis, therefore, represents a bit more than 2% of GDP. One can then ask, if things play out as assumed for the intermediate projections, will the economy be able to increase the percentage of GDP devoted to OASDI beneficiaries by about 2% by the year 2030? If the past is any guide, we believe the answer is yes. As Dean Baker notes, between 1960 and 1995, quote, Social Security actually increased by more as a share of GDP than it will increase over the 35 years from 1995 to 2030, end quote, 1998.